self-sovereign payments at scale, like I said earlier in the call, is just a totally separate goal from digital store of value as a concept, and that's where a lot of the problems come in. It's a clear tension. You know what I mean? Like you mentioned with BCAS, like prioritizing payments over prioritizing store of value is going to result in conflicting decisions. And so I think the problem is we need to stop trying to make Bitcoin a scaled form of payment. I don't think it's meant for that at all.
Okay, but if there are no payments and we just use it for speculation, then it's just a decentralized Ponzi. It's not something that's really useful. It's useful if you think
Yes
that
and no.
storing money is useful, but
No. You can use it. Money is a use case. Nothing is money. Money is how you use an object. And so, like, I can say bananas are money. Like, if we use them as money, they're money, right? Like, if I say I want your cow, and I give you 5 bananas, and you give me the cow, and then you say, hey, I want your lawnmower, and you give me 5 bananas back, and I give you the lawnmower. That's bananas as money. That's it. That's the only requirement, is just using it as a proxy for value. Now, when you start mixing everything in there, and you say, I also want to be able to do that at scale with anybody, what you will learn is that nothing scales without trust. Absolutely nothing. And so the problem you end up trying to solve when you try to be able to make, that's why I keep adding this at scale qualifier to it or requirement to it, is if you're happy with Bitcoin in a community, it works fine. It already does what it needs to do. You know what I mean? If you only have, say, 1 million people in a chain, they're always going to be able to send a transaction affordably on chain, and they're going to be able to use Bitcoin the way that we want them to be able to use it. But that Bitcoin won't be worth $2 trillion. You know what I mean? It'll be worth, $1 million or whatever the people inside of it attribute as value in that smaller blockchain. And so this is the tension, is people want both Bitcoin to grow their value over time. They want scarcity, they want digital gold. They want to be able to know that they want the Ponzi scheme. They want it. That's a use case of Bitcoin to most Bitcoiners, whether they admit it or not. They want the Ponzi scheme, but they also want some sort of narrative that lets them say, I want the Ponzi scheme, but I also want the freedom. And so the freedom is what powers the Ponzi scheme. And so they want everybody to just come here for the freedom and the Ponzi scheme. But you can't accomplish all these things like in one elegant swoop. It's just not how it works. And so I would say what you want to do is you want to optimize the quantity of people that could be holding Bitcoin. And there are various ways to do that. And then you want to separately optimize how you can coordinate people to make payments, both with Bitcoin or anything that you would accept, at least as an individual. Like you today, I'm sure you're not going to say, I will only accept Bitcoin. I will only accept Ethereum. I will only accept fiat. Anybody who is like blockchain enlightened, they're going to accept more than one type of money, whether it just be Bitcoin and fiat or many altcoins. And so if you actually want to approach solving this, actually want to approach this as a community, we have to become much more nuanced about these differences. That like, if they really want everybody, being able to use Bitcoin as a payment, they're going to have to attach broader scale payment rails to that. And it's not going to be Lightning. It's more likely to be Visa or something like this. And so the conversation ends up changing to, oh, but I don't want it to be Visa. That's why we invented Bitcoin. We don't want banks to be in control, right? Oh, so the problem you want to fix is banks. It's not Bitcoin. It's not store of value. It's not payments at scale. Is you don't like banks now, which is another different problem, which is also a trust problem that you solve. If you for example, today, when you choose a bank, it's chosen by this like legacy reputation, this implied reputation. The bank seems to exist. It seems to have a lot of money. It seems to be large. It seems to be trusted. So I will trust it. Well, how do you decentralize that? Well, you have to make more of it. There has to be more banks. And what is the most quantity of banks you could possibly have? Everybody being a bank. So, if you want to say Bitcoin is a bank in your pocket, that was such an ignorant, incorrect statement. It's not a bank at all. It's a digital commodity in your pocket. Having a bank in your pocket would be having a credit system in your pocket. It would be where you're a credit issuer to all the people that want credit from you, and all the people you want credit from are credit issuers back to you. And that's the only way you can fix banking and decentralizing banking, is by doing it yourself. The same way you fix big tech and walled gardens, hosting it yourself. It's like the ultimate solution to all these problems of scale is trust and self-responsibility. And if most people don't want to be responsible for running their own shit, hosting their own money, hosting their own bank, hosting their own website. Most people don't want that. So we end up back to the other side.